readers,
reviewers,
countrymen,
lend us your ears.
And a huge thank you to all of our Patreons.
Thank you to the Pit Fighters, the First Swords, and all of the Bright Stars, Truth and Courage.
Hello and welcome today. I'm Will, this is my brother Ed, and today we're going to be talking about our very, very favourite reads of 2024 so far. In another video, we've talked about our 10th to 5th favourite, so you can check that out if you want to. But as I said today, it's the very best, our 4th to 1st favourite, plus, as we like to talk about some more books we love, some honourable mentions. So we're talking about, I believe, 7 books each.
We did also cheat even more.
We did cheat even more because there is a book we thought not to include on this list because he may be considered biased. Can you guess what book that is?
The Hungry Caterpillar.
It is indeed.
We love caterpillars.
It does have an animal on the front, but
a very hungry
snake. The Fury of the Gods, of course, by Papa Gwynne. It's published in October. It is our favourite read of 2024. We just adore it so much. It's my favourite edition. What am I
Papa Gwynne book?
Favourite instalment of the Blood Swan Saga. There we go. I love the cover. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
You are not ready for what happens in this book. Yeah. Papa Gwynne blows it out of the water. But as I said, we're considered pretty biased as his sons. Although, as you've said before to me, many people don't realise we actually are.
No, if you look at the comments on our videos, we probably get at least one comment per video of someone saying, "What the hell? I had no idea you were John Gwynne's sons."
I mean, don't we look like him? Well, maybe you a bit more. But, yeah. Anyway, that's how we're cheating.
So let me talk about Fury of the Gods as well. Fury of the Gods, you guys are going to absolutely love it because it is everything that Papa Gwynne does best, ramped up to
11.
22, I would say.
Wow.
It's fantastic, and I know that it's the top of our list of books that are going to be released this year, and I know it's at the top of a lot of people's across the globe. It's on their list as well, and I think you guys are going to absolutely love it.
And if you don't talk to us.
Then
I'm just joking.
Unsub,
but
we don't want you anywhere near our corner of the internet.
We will be doing a Discord read though on the Brothers Gwynne. So yeah, we're reading Blood and Bone at the moment, and then going on to the Blood Swan Saga for September, October, and November. But anyway,
Dad said he'll pay us £50.
Yes. Easy money.
Mention for Fury of the Gods. So Papa Gwynne, Fury of the Gods, Fury of the Gods.
Fury of the Gods.
That's your about 400 quid now, isn't it? Let's talk about something
pretty easy.
Now,
your 4th favourite read of 2024 so far.
For me, this is a fiction, and it is The Roundhouse by Louise Erdrich. And this was probably my 2nd or 3rd book of the year, I believe. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm lying. I can't remember now. But it felt near the beginning. It was definitely in January. And Louise Erdrich has been someone that I've wanted to read a lot more for a while. I read The Night Watchman, really enjoyed it. But The Roundhouse was something that immediately solidified its place in my top 10. And it's just a fantastic novel. In my top 10 of the year, sorry. It's a fantastic book, and it is... I love reading Louise Erdrich's writing style. Her voice is incredible. It's unique. She is writing about Native American characters. She is Indigenous herself, so it's really intriguing seeing the way that she writes about people of her cultures and herself. And it's just... I love her prose style. I love her content in her stories. I love the way that she crafts relationships. We were talking about Elodie Harper in the video prior to this, how she creates and carves relationships that feel very real. They don't feel manufactured, but they feel incredibly heartwarming and at times very, very real and grounded. Louise Erdrich is someone as well who can create relationships that matter to the reader. The Roundhouse is a very incredibly sad book. It is the story of a son and his father trying to find his mother's rapist. So it's very, it's very sad. It's very heartbreaking, and there's a lot of content here that would trigger a lot of people as well. It's a really important book in my opinion, and it was just something that that just had a huge effect on me as soon as I read it. And as I was reading it, it was incredibly emotional, evocative, and everything that you want from a contemporary fiction. So yeah, The Roundhouse is something I'd recommend to everyone really. I'd say everyone should give it a go.
Yeah, well, with favourite books, usually they leave an imprint on you, don't they?
Yeah.
And we're getting into that region now with our favourites, very favourites of the year.
are.
So my fourth favourite is one we talked quite a bit about in the last video. It is Return to Edan by Dr. Fantasy, Philip Chase himself, the finale of the series. We also talked about last video the importance to conclusions of series because it makes or breaks the experience and the memory. When you reflect on it, it's often made or broken by how it ended because that's often what you think of first. This ends fantastically, hence why it's so high up my list. It feels like a very different way to end a fantasy series. Book 2 of the series, Prophet of Edan, feels like the end of a traditional fantasy series, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But Return to Edan, it feels very different. It starts a little bit slower, exactly, but magnified. It's a lot more epic than that. We've got fantastic characters, as you talked about, those with such a duty, a weight on their shoulders. I love the magic in this book and how the world building and all of this setting building for the previous 2 books has filtered into this. It really kind of forebodes what is to come in a brilliant way. But we still kept guessing. I had no idea what was going to happen, but in a way that was still so satisfying. And I'm a character-driven reader. This is a character-driven book. The characters are the heart and focus. We've got a few more POVs than we have in the previous installments, but each character has their moment and they still have incredible character growth. I won't talk too much about it because we talked about it quite a bit in the last video, and you should watch a chat we did with Philip Chase himself, where
so much fun.
It's fascinating to find out how he crafted this series. The dedication he has had to bring it to life is just mind-blowing. It's really wonderful to hear about, and so I urge you to check that video out. But this is my 4th favourite read of 2024 so far. Epic fantasy at its best.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, number 3. A book I've been looking forward to and hoping this author would write for a long time. And it's Giles Kristian's Arthur, book 3 of the Lancelot Arthurian Camelot trilogy. This book is, well, when we first read Lancelot, we thought, how is this going to be anywhere? How is it even going to touch the same level of Bernard Cornwell's Arthur trilogy, his Warlord Chronicles? Somehow Giles Kristian does it. His writing voice is superb. It is incredibly evocative. It's vivid. It paints such a beautiful picture, but an incredibly bleak one too as well, all with the same colours. Giles Kristian's writing, the way that he is able to craft characters is brilliant. The way that he can get under a character's skin in just a couple of paragraphs, you immediately know who this character is and you feel like you've known them for forever. You know, they feel like lifelong friends sometimes, don't they? I love the relationships that Giles Kristian's crafted in these characters. Arthur, this is the final book of the trilogy, and it's something you can tell that Giles Kristian loved writing. It just feels like this is an author having fun who's at the top of their game as well. There is an exploration of like a fallen character, isn't it, in this story of Arthur, and you meet characters along the way, and their story is just beautiful, heartbreaking at times, important, necessary, but they leave, as Will was saying earlier about some books, they leave this lasting impression upon you. And Arthur, just one of my favourite books of the year. It's one of my favourite Giles Kristian books. I think it's my favourite of the Arthurian trilogy.
Wow.
It's such a beautiful ending to the trilogy. And it's just so much good to say about this series. I'd love to do a proper review. I'd love to talk to Giles Kristian and his narrator, Philip Stevens, my favourite narrator, in the future. We'd love that, wouldn't we?
We would. And I am thinking of just listening to the whole series because I listened to Lancelot, but I read physically Camelot and Arthur. But the narrator is my favourite Audible narrator of all time. So
he even narrates some of Manda Scott's series as well, the Boudica series. So
nice.
He's a great guy, Philip Stevens is, and Giles Kristian's another great guy as well. Brilliant chaps, brilliant books. Read them. As
my 3rd favourite read of 2024, I don't know why you're laughing, but I've got a very different type of read, and that is Egil Saga by none other than Anonymous.
The truly great writer, Anonymous.
Great writer. How do they write so many just fantastic books?
It's unknown.
The dad jokes I hear, they've made their mark with the brothers Gwynne. You've got an excuse because you actually are a father, you're a papa, whereas I'm not, but I still make the dad jokes. I'm ready. I'm ready for the dad jokes. So
Ready for children?
no, I did not say that. I love cuddling Iris.
I'm telling Faith.
But you can keep Iris.
Okay.
But I love holding her. But anyway, aside from that, Egil Saga
William
is
just made a blistering statement.
blistering statement. But Egil Saga is a great read. It is
The family
of course,
read.
It is, oh no! Now the coughing started. But it's very different. It's a saga, of course, written about 700-800 years ago by Anonymous. It is a family saga, really. It's the titular character Egil Skallagrimsson, but it's about the family as a whole and their enmity with the kings of Norway. It's very different from your kind of contemporary plot-driven story, which has a through line and a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
It is more tangential, but in a way that is so fun, so exciting. Egil, he's pretty crazy, but he's pretty funny as well. He just does some bad things, but you're still rooting for him. I love how
Don't
humorous it
ever
is.
give him an axe. That's what I
Don't
can
give
say.
him... Well, as long as you're not his enemy,
Especially
it should
if
be
he's
alright.
below the age of 10.
Yeah, he's pretty dangerous below 10 when you annoy him.
Yeah.
And beyond 10 as well, to be fair. But it's just so fresh. There's just this misconception that the sagas aren't accessible to the normal reader.
Oh, they are so funny.
But they are so accessible. They're easier to read than many books written now.
Yeah, they're not dry at all.
No, they are.
If anything, they're
Pretty wet.
moist.
They are moist. They are moist.
I hate that word.
They moist. It is a
Don't do
horrible
that.
word,
Yeah.
to be fair. It's like, I'm not certain of the word tender. Tender and moist should not be spoken.
Especially in the same sentence. Let's move on.
Egil Saga's great. I love it. It was really surprising. I read it because it's on my uni reading list. I probably would have read it anyway. Love the North. Love the Vikings. Got to read more.
The who?
The Vikings. The Sea Raiders themselves. Sea Raiders.
Okay, yeah.
Right, I'm not saying the entire
Adventurers,
people.
Adventurers.
But yeah, I love it, and I love Egil Saga.
Nice.
Now on to your second favourite, Ed.
My second favourite of the year. This will be no surprise to people who are regular viewers of the channel, and it is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This book knocked me for 6. I literally couldn't stop reading it. I opened it and I just, like I said, I couldn't stop. It sucked me in like a Dyson Hoover vacuum from page 1, and it was utterly incredible. I think the pacing of this novel was top tip. I think the characters were brilliant. The motivations were there. It is essentially, Red Rising, really. But
Really?
Red Rising meets Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Whoa.
Meets James Islington's brain.
No way.
Yeah, it's a fantastic read.
No way.
I absolutely loved it. I think, like I said, the pacing was brilliant. The set pieces are fantastic. The beats of the story are all there. Everything you want to read in a fast-paced, pretty chunky fantasy novel.
Is it quite easy to read? Like you can
Very
fly through
easy to read. You could fly through it. There's a lot that's going on. Each page, there's so much that actually happens. The prose is really stripped down, and it is just there's just everything that is essential to the plot. And James Islington crams a lot in here, but it's absolutely brilliant. I love the relationships that are formed, and I love that story arc of, you know, character tries to bring down society from within, especially from within an academy. Cool. So
yeah,
the bad guys are basically the Sith. They're Romans, and the good guys, there are no good guys. That's what I like about the series as well. So yeah,
I've been intrigued since I watched Petrick's review of it. He says that it's basically Roman inspired with a training school. That's what you want.
Yeah,
and you've made it sound even better, saying it's like Red Rising as well, bringing something down from within.
Can you read the first sentence and then tell me you're not hooked? Read it loud.
I need my glasses. I am dangling, and it is only my father's blood-slicked grip around my wrist that stops me from falling. That is the way to begin a book. Wow.
That's essentially
I think,
a mic drop.
Tutor Ramble did a video about best opening lines of books.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they talked about Will of the Many, but if they haven't, they should read that.
Yeah, it's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Number 2, very nice one I need to read. And my number 2 is one you've already talked about. Why do you keep doing this first?
Read it, said it.
Arthur by Giles Kristian. Arthurian Legends, sorry. I've loved it since basically I was just out of the womb. You know, listening, watching Arthur. What's
We
the
were
Arthur
all
film we used
worried
to love?
about you.
With Sam Neill. Merlin.
Of course. You've always been more of a Merlin guy than
Well,
Arthur.
well, because what films are there Arthur that you can watch as a child?
King Arthur with Clive Owen.
You can't watch that when I'm like 6 years old. I think it's a 15.
You watched
actually.
Roadhouse when you were 3?
No, I didn't. That's what Ed somehow gets younger, saying each time he watched Roadhouse for the first time.
That Papa Gwynne Dada showed me Roadhouse when I was about 2.
It started where you said you were about 15, and now it's down to 2. But anyway, Arthur, the finale of the Arthurian Tales. I've actually got a review of this over on my channel because I loved it so much, and we will be talking together
Blah, 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 blah,
about
blah, blah, blah.
the entire
All
Arthurian
you
Tales.
talk about is your channel.
No, I don't.
Plug here, plug there, like a
Stop
switchboard. Go on then,
Stop
carry
it. But
on.
we will be talking about the Arthurian Tales as a trilogy together, won't we?
Yes, we will.
We will indeed. In here, we follow 2 POVs. We've got Beren, the older, disillusioned veteran warrior who definitely has a hidden past.
And we have Luthien, who... Oh, sorry, wrong story.
Yeah, wrong story.
This
but
is
we
much better than the Silmarillion.
Ed, let's just stay happy with each other.
Okay.
I love the Silmarillion so much.
I do like the story of Beren and Luthien, that's good.
You just made a lot of enemies to stay.
Symbols of-
But anyway, that's one POV, and he saves a boy, but creates a lot of enemies in doing so, and is instantly on the run. And he must save this boy if there's any chance of
Not
saving
just a boy.
Britain. He's no ordinary boy.
He is.
And then our other
Important
POV
boy.
is Arthur as a young boy, as a child, as he forms into the man he is to become, the man of myth and legend for generations and millennium to come. And that is absolutely fascinating. Giles Kristian
stunning
is
stuff.
what I think is so brilliant. You talked about how can it compare to Bernard Cornwell's series. I think it's because Giles Kristian, he doesn't try and do the same. It is something completely unique. It is different. He almost adds to the Arthurian legend in this because this takes our place after the Battle of Camlan. This is adding to the Arthurian legend, but in a way that feels so fitting. And there are many tropes and stories of the Arthurian legend that aren't included in Lancelot and Arthur that he brings into this, such as Tristan and Isolde, which has always been one of our favourite aspects.
Yeah, always been my favourite of the Arthurian legend. Was Tristan and Isolde added later on? Were they
I believe they... I may be completely wrong.
Was it Thomas Mallory?
I think they may have actually been before, because then Chrétien de Troyes added Lancelot to Guinevere. I may have got it the wrong way round.
Ah, there is a parallel there, isn't there?
There is, but because I think they were separate stories brought together.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been many years since I kind of...
Isn't it weird that
research.
I don't like Lancelot at all. Like we all we hate Lancelot.
Yeah.
But naturally we all like Tristan.
It's weird, isn't it?
But it's essentially the same story.
Yeah.
But really,
I think it's because we've
Tristan
got
and Isolde is even more.
Because this is
we
uncle.
should dislike it because this is his uncle who's basically his father figure.
Yeah, but
So
I think it's because we got that attachment to Arthur. I think that we feel his wrongdoing more. But anyway, this
and also that brings down a country, doesn't it? That brings down.
It's the beginning of the end. It is the beginning of the end. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic for the reasons Ed said and more. And yeah, I'll talk about it more in depth in the review I've done. I'm just trying to stop myself going on a tangent.
I'm not adding that to the cards, by the way. I'm not adding that.
That's all right.
If you really want to find it, type in... What do they even type in?
My name.
Bill.
William Gwynne. That is my second
Honourable
favourite.
mentions. We love honourable mentions. Should we be nice and quick?
We do.
Short,
We will.
sharp, snappy, efficient?
Yeah.
Let's do it. My first honourable mention is The Words of Kings and Prophets by Shauna Lawless. This is her second book of her trilogy, all set in 10th century Ireland. So we have the Viking peoples. I know, I had to say it. We have the Viking peoples, we have the Irish, we also have the Irish mythology mixed in there for good measure. We have a melting pot of all of these influences, all of these cultures, and you have a smattering of characters with diverse relationships and motivations and fantastic action, as well as even better relationships that are essential to the plot. I love this. It's a fantastic mix of historical fiction and it's really great. And fantasy.
Also have my first honourable mention as a Shauna Lawless work. It is her second novella, Dreams of Sorrow. I talked about her first novella in the previous video.
Whoa.
Today, Dreams of Sorrow. It starts with someone who, as I said before, it's Irish mythology in history, so it's historical fantasy. In Ireland, in late 10th century Ireland. And so we've got someone who their powers suddenly awaken.
Yeah.
And normal people should not know about these powers, so there's a bit of a panic. And we're introduced to a lot of the characters we know through the main series. That starts with Children of Gods and Fighting Men. And it's brilliant, the questions that are answered, but it's pretty chilling, this story as well. And it shows another lens to Shauna Lawless's writing that I was really glad to find.
Next one for me is Janny Wurts, To Ride Hell's Chasm. Now, this is a fantastic story of two completely different, unique characters that are trying to find a lost princess. And the, not adventure, but the journey they both go on in terms of character development, plot, everything is incredible. I love the way that Janny writes. She has this kind of this mystery element that then is transformed into so much more. And you've got her writing about horses is one of my favorite aspects of her writing. She has horses. I've loved chatting with her about her horses and her experiences, and the way that she writes these characters is also marvelous. I love her writing style, and I can't wait to read more by her. But yeah, loved it. If you want this kind of this classic fantasy feeling, but with a contemporary twist, check out Janny Wurts.
And she has a new release over the last few months,
She
which you can
does.
check out. She very kindly took the time to give us
An
a
amazing
pitch.
video, one of the best videos we've ever had for our channel, and it was just brilliant.
And wasn't it edited by the son of Talking Story himself?
It was.
Who actually edits those videos
John
as well.
Sun. Very nice. So yeah, great mix there of booktubers and authors.
I do have a habit of just calling people by their channel name.
Yeah.
I need to stop that.
Yes.
His name isn't first name Talking and surname Story.
Lots of people do call us the Brothers Grimm.
Brothers
Not
Grimm.
even Ed or Will.
No,
Oh,
not on.
wait a
Anyway,
minute.
my second honourable mention is The Shining by none other than Stephen King. The first half of this story in particular is exceptional. The ending landed a little bit short for me, but not enough to ruin it. It was still great. The first half, some of the best character writing I've ever seen in
Are we
any
upset
book.
that he shouted, "Here's Johnny"?
No, I wasn't actually. Weirdly enough. Why would
Good.
I be upset?
Sorry, it was a joke. Don't worry, it didn't land.
Onto your third
Because it's
favourite.
actually "Where's Johnny," but don't worry.
Sorry.
And my last honourable mention is a book that I absolutely loved, and yeah, it's just brilliant. It was Dark Frontier by Matthew Harffy. Again, another author who made such a great pitch for our channel.
There's currently a bookmark because I'm currently reading it and really enjoying it.
We shall be talking about it very soon.
We will be talking about it soon.
And talking about
And
it.
talking as well.
And so Dark Frontier is Matthew Harffy's first foray into the Western. He has a lot of influences that are books that kind of are really in my like literary canon, my favourite books, my favourite Westerns. And Dark Frontier is about an English police officer, detective, going over to America, Oregon, I believe it is, isn't there? And he has some friends over there, and then he gets embroiled in this kind of, this classic Western war, which is, you know, ranchers versus, land barons, really, essentially, isn't it? So, and, you know, and yeah, the old and the new. And it's a great mix. I love Matthew Harffy's writing style, and it really lends itself to the Western genre. He has included lots of tropes that are familiar to people who've seen every John Wayne film, for good reason, because Western tropes are great things. To me, trope is not a bad word, it's a good word, especially if you use it well. And Matthew Harffy does pretty much everything well.
Of course, it depends on how tropes are handled.
Yes.
And my final honourable mention is Crucible of Chaos by Sebastien de Castell.
Nice.
This is a standalone. It has a greatcoat going to investigate some strange goings on an island, and him and his trusty mule sort out a lot together. I love the humour. I love the mystery. We've got kind of a fantastical element, and I love the relationship between our main character and his mule. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And it comes quite full circle as well.
Yeah. Very nice. On to our number one book of the year so far. For me, this is a book that William has been badgering, pestering, everything
I have
for me
indeed.
to read it for the last probably 2 years, I
It
reckon.
is.
And it is Conn Iggulden's The Gates of Athens. I thought, how can this book even come close to Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, which is about the Battle of Thermopylae, following the Spartans and their, is it the Pericloi? They're Pericloi, which are the slaves, aren't they? Conn Iggulden's The Gates of Athens takes it from the Athenian perspective at the Battle of Marathon and then Thermopylae, and then I believe later on it will be moving into the battles that followed Thermopylae during the Persian invasion of, is it what, 480 BCE?
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, but it's BCE now, not BC. Yeah.
It's true.
Anyway, this book is, I think Conn Iggulden just struck gold here, or bronze, should we say. Everything, the stars definitely aligned, and he is properly in the zone here. He has crafted these fascinating characters from Athenian history. We have the portrayal of the early days of democracy here, which is incredibly interesting, incredibly fascinating. And you have these characters using it. You have the Aristides, the Just. You have Themistocles, Xanthippus. You have Leonidas. All of these amazing characters from Greek history. If you've read Herodotus, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just brilliant. I love the way that the characters are crafted, the relationships. I love the way that the main character is Xanthippus. He is incredibly different to any strong individual that you've probably ever read. He has all these quirks and personality traits that he's incredibly diverse. He's incredibly unique. And I really love his individuality. Conn Iggulden writes with such confidence and panache. He has this authority of the history and immersion as well as the action, and I just love reading his writing, especially here. It is Conn Iggulden at his best.
I agree.
And I have loved getting back into Greek historical fiction. It's just great. But thank you, Will, for this recommendation. It is hard to beat, and it's made me want to pick up my own panoply and don the beach of Marathon. So
if a book makes you want to do that, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Exactly. So if anyone wants a little bit of a scrap down on the beach of Marathon, let me know,
up for it.
And we can hang out maybe in August or something. Yeah, let me know.
My number one also is a book with the blue cover.
Nice.
It's also historical fiction. It is The House of the Golden Door by Elodie Harper,
Great
the second
choice.
book of the Wolf Den trilogy, one that you read before me and also loved. Was it one of your top 3 reads of last year?
Yeah,
it was.
No, I didn't read it last year. I believe I read it the year before.
20.
Yeah,
Really?
because it was the year of Boudica. It was my second.
That's
topic.
a long time ago.
Yeah, it was in December though.
Time has passed
I
quickly.
think it's my last book of the year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Crikey.
I remember years, not based on what happens, but based on.
Based on the books.
Yeah, in my top.
Oh
10
yeah, that was the
ranking.
year I read
The year of
for the
Boudica.
first time. Yeah. The year of Boudica.
Don't remind me.
Oh, stop it, Ed. The House of the Golden Door. This is really, I think, just a testament to what can be achieved with writing. This is absolutely thrilling.
This is why we read.
It has an incredible plot. People often say to us that we don't read enough historical fiction or books that don't have warfare in. There's conflict.
Not much warfare in it.
There isn't warfare. I said that a bit weirdly. Warfare.
I think there's like one sword in it, and it's not even very long because it's a gladius. So yeah, don't worry too much.
Yeah, there is conflict.
Yeah.
There is absolute tension. There's absolute fear. I've rarely felt fear like I do in this book. Anything can happen to our characters. There is just trepidation as our characters go through trials and tribulations day in and day out. It is a battle for survival, and it feels like that. You can feel it through every single page, that tension, that suspense over your head. In that way, I would compare it to Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker.
What a great book.
There are a few books that can make you fear for their characters no matter what phase of the story you're in, and this is one of them. But there is such heart as well. You love the characters so much. You are so invested in their story. I don't know how Elodie Harper makes you feel for them so much.
And I loved Amara so much that we named a taxidermy duck after her.
Can't get much more love than that, can you?
If that isn't love, I don't know what is.
A duck as well. But yeah,
Stuffed.
This is House of the Golden Door. I can't talk much more because of spoilers. I do hope to talk about the series as a whole at some point with you, Ed. Maybe do a chat of them all together.
Sadie would love that.
We could do that, all 3 of us together. That'd be fantastic.
And we'd love to chat with Elodie Harper because she is writing, the next book she is writing is called Boudica's Daughter, which if you've read Dreaming the Eagle and the Boudica series by Amanda Scott, you know that is going to be an intense read.
Yes, it is.
But
I trust Elodie Harper.
I trust her.
It's my favourite read of 2024. Please, please, please read The Wolf Den. It's one of those that even if it's not your usual type of book, I recommend to everybody.
Yeah.
It's one that no matter your reading taste, I think you will enjoy and appreciate the quality on display.
Thank you so much for watching our video, not our book, our video on our favourite reads of the year so far. Let us know, please, what are your top 3 or top 10 or top 100 books of the year so far. How many books you read this year so far?
37, I would say.
Good going. I think I'm on like between 50 and 60, I can't remember.
Coming out.
But, I mean, who even counts?
Who counts these
when you
days?
get to the 50s? Who even counts anymore? But thank you very much. Hope to see you in the comments below. And if not, then stay tuned for our next video coming shortly. Truth and Courage from the Brothers Gwynne.
The Brothers Gwynne.
you.